Okay, so looks like no question. Everybody's quiet. I don't know whether they fall asleep or what. Oh, well, actually, there was two questions here. It's not regarding to the meditation, but that's all right. So the question is, according to the path system, we need to completely fulfill a path, the path equipment before moving on to the next. Not necessarily, but you do find that even though you might be start to, when we go later on, you will find it start to talk about, say that you practice the four, so like by say the four establishment of mindfulness, 四念处, four establishment of mindfulness. But I mean, you might be just practicing that, but if you do not have those background very well, like restraint, for example, in your morality or restraint in your senses, I guess the practices will not be very, very smooth. Yeah. But I guess it doesn't here, when we say the path here, it doesn't mean that you need to fulfill every single of it or every unit of it. Of course, you definitely need to pay attention that those are the I guess, to the Abhidharma system or the Sarvāstivāda, those are the thing they consider as a very important thing that you need to fulfill, even though you don't fulfill everything first before you really practice like meditation very seriously. And we must understand, because today what I'm going to give a topic is just the outline. It's really outlined. It's even just one of the topic, you could do a huge research on it. So then you can imagine that there are a lot of refined, a lot of detailed discussion over there too. But those are the very basic concept that if you study this system. Yeah. But I mean, very important also, I need to say at the same time that when you study this system, it doesn't mean that it doesn't work with the other system. Actually, you don't find much different. It's just the way how they lay out the system. The way how they lay out the name is quite different on it. Is there any way we can work on to achieve the perfection of oneself? Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you look at the concept of the oneself, right, it's about, so it's about how, basically how you have to be, in earlier I did mention that you definitely is a human body. You are not a ghost, not the animal kingdom. You are not born as an animal. So, and then you were born at the place there's a teachings. At least you were able to listen to the teachings. And then all your senses are good. And also you want to develop you also believe in that purification that will be good for you if you practice. And then you are very lucky that you do not have a lot of hindrance to stop you from practicing. I don't know if you have those problems with you. I guess not, certainly not the other else, but might be the last one that you might have some hindrances. Someone are not allowing you really a serious practice because they will not understand what is important for that. Then, I mean, then you definitely need to deal with it, or just wait until, you have that chance, or maybe, I'm sure always later we'll talk about the next one. So about when you build up the good marriage, I mean, it slowly will help you out. Okay, let us just begin. If I didn't answer your question, so well, please ask again. Okay, let me just move on the next thing first. I'll keep on that. The next thing. Let me share the screen now. All right, so now we come to the 10th one. So it's the listening to and reflecting upon the true Dharma doctrines, but you could put that as two together, or you could just separate these two. The word sadharma, so sadharma, so Śrāvana, so Śrāvana Chintana, basically mean you listen to the correct Dharma. I mean, of course, people might be arguing, what does the correct Dharma mean? And some teachers really love to talk that topic. And I find the topic is very difficult because it's very opinionated by everyone, I would say. But I mean, usually, I mean, we will say the correct Dharma will be, I mean, for the sake of safe, for the sake of what was the term? For the sake of safety, or basically, if you find the teachings are common to all, I definitely would think that will be much agreeable. I mean, I would do it that way. That if all teachings, either any school will believe in the same way, those you could simply take that. There's almost no doubt that is called the correct Dharma. Very unfortunate, because the Buddhists have a long history. I mean, developing, cultivating, and developing. This is a very nature of any religions. So the Buddha passed away before Christ 600 years. And do not forget, when he passed away, all his students, a lot of these disciples are very, the most smart, one of the most smartest people, the most smartest persons in India. Either because they are all generations are religiously very well educated, passed up from their fathers to fathers, or because they were royal family, or because they were royal from other, belong to other kings' royal families, so they're very well educated. I mean, given those days and time. So you can imagine how many teachings could somehow, you could be due to, because of region's reason or person's reasons or educational reasons, so it might be slightly changed a little bit. But that's fine. I mean, this is definitely the nature of the human, the nature of the teachings also. But the different, as I said, but then the main core teaching will definitely, no way will order that. It just might be, if there was any, you think is not necessarily 100% of what the Buddha mean, it could be just the interpretation a little different. But of course, we never know what is original the interpretation of Buddha. But that's why I say the best way of doing the subject to understand the correct teachings is to, you find the common core of it. But and the funny part is that if you really learn a lot of Buddhist literature, so more later teachings always talk, they always say that they are more correct. So that I don't know. So this is not my subject to talk about, but I will just give you a little bit aware about that. Okay. All right. So in other words, here, listen to and reflecting upon the true doctrines or teachings. So it combines two, and it involves two things. One is listening. In other words, learning and studying. The other is reflect. You need to think about, you need to ponder about. It's not just simply just listening. You need to really think about it. And then you kind of like, you're able to develop your own self-understanding what it is about. Okay. And then the 11th one is when the lack of obstacle. So the lack of obstacle, it's usually referred to when you practice, you do not have much obstacle to you, okay? And the 12th one is very interesting, and then you're back to giving. Well, some scholars say, this is about, maybe this for the layperson. Actually, this is not totally wrong. And I mean, because I guess there's no any sources, further reason to say about that, but it's just wrong when they say, unless they become a monk for a long time, they know that even monks have to learn how to be generous. So, and then, the generous refer to not just the financial, well, even the materials, but materials is the one too. Say that if I have ropes, I have extra ropes, I need to offer to other if someone needs it. And then if I have the, if you have a space for people, and then you must be generous to offer the space for others, not to think, oh, I don't want the people come to disturb me and so forth. When you have food, you want to offer the food. So those are even for the monastic members. So that's just what I want to stress. And then, of course, even the generous also, that is one part. The other part is when people get fear, and then you might be even fear, but then because you have your status, people have a trust to you. So just like a mother get fear too when you see a ghost, but when the children got more fear, I mean, say that really there's like maybe fake and there's never no ghost, but they would get scared because of believing there was a ghost. And the mother, not to let the children, the child or her child to get much more fear. It would say, no, there's nothing. My mom is protecting you, don't worry. Those are also as a giving, mean the dana. And the other, of course, that's when you're giving the teachings for them. Sometimes we are not like to share our teachings, you know. But here, please understand, nowadays, I always facing this problem when I'm in Taiwan. I remember one of the students, a nun, told me, she told other people, some other people tell me. I prefer she would tell me. That's why people are very funny. They just like to say in the behind. She tell other people and say that, oh, this master is very strange. Let me refer to me. When I asked the question, I told her, oh, this is not a time to ask this question. Why don't we just have finish our drink or coffee and so forth like that? You know? And she find very strange. Whenever she asks any other masters, as far as she knows in Taiwan, the teachers, they like to talk a lot about that. Well, let me tell you, my impression is that I don't know why. I mean, unless we're studying now in the book, if we ask question, of course I will reply you. But the other time, why you want to ask so much about that? And why you think that when you understand the teaching that you know the practice? Why don't you just put yourself more on observing what you're doing right now? You're drinking, you must know you're drinking. When you're swallowing, you must know you're swallowing. You have a sensation, you must know your sensation. Why it's so important to ask so many other questions? And then to make you feel nice. And I don't want to feel nice too, not because I can answer your question and then I feel proud. And this is not good for me too. So, I mean, but I want to say that this, in that case, is different. But then in another case, so of course, sometimes you do not want to give. Dana usually are referred to when you want to offer generosity, giving to others. It's because you don't want to hold to yourself and you don't want just to not allow the people to learn. So that's what I mean by even the monastic also, we might practice the dana. If you don't have this kind of mind to be generous, the practice will become very difficult. And then the last one is about adornment of the adornment of the ascetics here, but so I should have just actually not ascetic. You could say adornment of the monkhood or something like that. So basically, the monk must know how to walk, how to recline, how to talk, and so forth. In other words, all these things those actions that has to do with mindfulness. Okay, right now, let's go to now. Those something other also is a condition necessary for the attainment of Parinirvana. Now, accordingly, so there are two types of the condition. One is that it's called the condition, the profound condition. That means people are really be born with a very good condition that they can easily achieve nirvana. So they don't have to follow all, kind of like they don't have to, literally, they don't really have to follow everything, kind of like step by step, so trying to fulfilling everything. Because from the past life, they've been practiced very good already. So these kind of people, if they have a chance to listen to a Greek master, to tell them something, then they can easily direct themselves into paying the right attention, what we call the correct attention. So it's a kind of meditation skill. The mind, you can direct yourself into the correct way, not incorrect way. And in the correct way to contemplate. So then they attain nirvana. So like the story we have, either because person are facing a lot of great sadness or suffering, but when they have to correct master at that time to give them advice, they will just suddenly understand the teachings. Meanings of the teaching may be best, not just the teachings, to understand the meaning of the teachings. So with that reasoning of the meaning of the teachings, so they will just direct himself to become liberation by abandoning the defilements, either the worries or pleasure, like the defilements and so forth. So then become the saint, at least the first level of sainthood. But normally we are talking in a text, we do not refer to this kind of person, because this kind of person, they were born like that already, just like, say a genius. You cannot teach them like in a formula, one by one. and they would just get it. And sometimes the way they get it, you cannot ask them to explain everything to you. They cannot. Well, that's why in the history of what that mean by people have a sharp faculty or the blunt faculty, mean somebody who can get it quickly or get it slowly, get the meaning slowly or quickly. It's very different. But if you look at the early Buddhist teaching or even Abhidharma, usually it refers to people who really get it right there and then become the sense already. Those are called a sharp faculty. But the other, they maybe learn slowly. So they call that as a blunt faculty. So, but here they translate the word hina, like the xiao chen, hinayana. But here they don't translate as the xiao, but translate as the nie yue. So just now what I was mentioning about persons must have this, what they call the respect, the perfection in oneself, perfection in other, has a strong desire to learn. And then even though they become a monk or nuns, and then or they follow this their morality in the restraint in morality or restraint in senses, and then he eats sensibly and also sleep less, and also establish his comprehension, and then he loved to live to stay alone away from very busy and noisy places. And then even though he also, actually this means by the samadhi, so he able to abandon these defilements, the 5 hindrances, and then in order to attain the pureness. So if they can, based on this kind of samadhi, this is the condition necessary for the attainment of Parinirvana. Let me repeat again. This term is very important. So when usually if there was a person asking you, say, what is the main root for someone to have the nirvana? Or kind of like, what is the base? What is the condition? What is the necessities? Yes, if you are the so-called the sharp faculty, a very sharp person, very powerful person. So you could say, if they have a chance to listen to the others, and then they can direct their mind in the correct paying attention to, then they are. That is for that kind of person. But for the rest of the other persons, most of them, or maybe I definitely say 90% of it, even now they may be 95 to 98% rate. So, and then you have those things like a self, like perfection in oneself to others, living, to follow the Dharma, and then you like to live it almost like a monk or nuns, and then you have to really have a restraint, either in morality or even restraint in the senses and so forth. And the last few things is that which you don't see in the previous list, is it means you also must learn how to be away from noisy place, a busy place, and then stay in the purity, have the purification, because you'll be able to deal with the 5 hindrances. Actually, not necessarily 5, but sometimes could be 8, but generally mean the hindrances for your samadhi. So that's why if you base on the samadhi, then you have the condition necessary for the attainment of nirvana. All right, now, so then the part of equipment, we're still in the same first part. So, and then the part of equipment, so actually it's also, you put it this way, Vasu plans to instruct those who have generated a mind that is determined to walk the path, so that they should first abide in morality and practice wisdom through the hearing, wisdom through the reflection, and wisdom through the meditation. So in other words, if someone, this is this term actually you don't find. The other term maybe you do find in the Buddhist teachings, in early Buddhist sutra or suttas. But they get it together, make it as a path, make it as a perfection. that someone have to fulfill in order to attain nirvana. But this one, you do not find on the sutras, but then it becomes very popular later on, either in any different school, even in Theravada or Sarvāstivāda or so-called Mahayana, even in Tibetan Buddhism. So that means if you really want to walk in practice, bhavana atikari means when you begin to practice. When you want to begin to practice, they have to learn how to stay in the morality and practice the wisdom by true listening, through reflection, and through the practices or meditation or cultivation. So 就是闻思修慧啦，戒跟闻思修，要处于戒上，有闻思修慧。Now, beside that also, according to Sarvāstivāda, it's also relatively important to practice the four immeasurable minds. That's what we've done just now. We just done a very, 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 very simple one. But you do find that even though that very simple, if you could practice every day, even 10 minutes, and every time when you have time, just practice 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, you do find it will benefit your life immensely. Anyway, so just say that, so the practice of loving kindness, the yogin contemplate offering happiness to all sentient beings. When they practice the compassion, the yogin contemplate getting rid of the suffering of sentient beings. For sympathetic joy, the yogin contemplate sharing the rejoicing with the sentient beings, and the word ananda. Okay, that's how the Sanskrit word is using. It's not necessarily the Pali word, but the yogin contemplate sharing the rejoicing ananda with the sentient beings. In ananda, usually the word means qinxi. But it's very interesting, the word is also refer, even the word is mudita, mean by empathetical joy. But then the word ananda sometimes indirectly hint that it means they rejoice because of others. So like Ananto, the word ananda, you know, the attendant of the Buddha. So his name is Ananda. So it's always referred to not just oneself rejoice, but they will rejoice because other people are happy. So, and then for equipoise, the yogin contemplates the quality of sentient beings, in the equanimity. But if you look at the Mahavibhasa, another treatise say that, so the nirvana depends upon the path, and the path depends upon the equipment. Okay, so in other words, mean without, this is against the Mahavibhasa as one of the biggest treatises. They have 100 100 fascicles. It's almost, I don't know, maybe more than 20 times of Bible, or maybe 50 times or 40 times, I don't know. It's really huge treatise. So it's have a lot of very extensive, very, 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 very complicated discussion there. And then basically there's one word saying that so Nibbana depends on the path, and the path depends on the equipment. So in other words, mean without the equipment, the part of equipment, there is no path. Okay, please remember. This is why I always tell people when those who follow our meditation teaching, some people slide on many things. And I always tell them, they are the very important thing. The basic, the foundation, it's always achieved. Just like, I guess I always say, just like whatever you learn, whatever sport you learn, whatever language you learn, whatever thing, your basic is always, even though you might be very advanced in your language or what, then when you go back to basic, the foundation is something you still find you are lack of it a lot. So that's why this is, I guess maybe that's easier for you to link to this teaching now. Now, please understand, generally, the part of the equipment, what we are talking. So in tradition, they also put it in the age of the marriage, what we talk about, something of that part of it already, and the age to liberation. They are still belong to the part of equipment. It's still 资粮道. It still is the part of equipment. Now let's still go on what does the age to marriage. I need to jump this one. So the age to marriage also sometimes you can understand as a partaking of marriage. So of course, this is a little bit more detailed discussion. So in a treatise like Abhidharma, okay, defines the age to marriage as the leading one to the desired result. Ista vipaka. That's how the Abhidharma Kosa defined it. But the commentary to the Abhidharma Kosa, Yasomitra, which we don't have a Chinese version, only in Sanskrit version, and referred to as a synonym for the punya-kriyā-vastu, which explains, so possession, which is a portion of merit, it is from the root, but meaning to divine or partake of it. In other words, mean the Yasomitra as the commentator to Abhidharma Kosa, which as I say, we don't have in Chinese and no translation in English, except some people doing research, they might cook some Sanskrit and they translate partly. So, and thus, so you could also understand the word we say the age to marriage as the partaking of marriage. You know, that's how a commentator, one of the commentators think. So when you talk about a marriage, meritorious, we talk about meritorious, the age to marriage or partaking of marriage. So there are three of them. One is the marriage consisting in generosity. We talked about that already, maybe. And the marriage consisting in moral conduct, and the marriage consisting in cultivation. Okay. Did I have anything? Yeah. The marriage consisting in generosity, it's huge subject of that. It's there were 7 qualities of the givers. Means someone really, if they want to give, like say that I want to give something, I want to offer the food for others. First, I must have the faith. And then I must have and also if I'm not just a faith, but I'm also a good in morality, keeping in my morality very well, you could say precepts. And then I learn a lot. I'm a learner. I like to learn a lot. And I have wisdom. Usually here wisdom refer to the Buddhist wisdom about the impermanence, emptiness, about what is the other? The no self, and then also the suffering. And also I give because I understand I also abandon my defilements, like for example, the stinginess, the unwillingness, or you know, and also like sometimes I don't give because I just not happy with about something. So, but I change it. So that means I give, I become a generous. I give the food, just abandoning of the defilements. And the 6th one and 7th one is the one that sense of guilty and the sense of shame. I mean, as I say, in English, guilty is not very good term. It's just a translation. Please bear in mind. Do not take it literally or exactly like what it's a translation on it. We couldn't find a proper term. At least I couldn't find. So aprajapya generally mean you understand you are still not the Buddha, for example. You still have a lot thing to work on. So that's why you have a sense of understand yourself, that you feel a little bit like maybe more like a shame, but you feel a little bit like, you know, the shame, or you know that you still have to work on a lot of things. So, but normally we use the 6th one as the refer to other, but it doesn't strictly for that, because as I said, it's always have a lot of different meaning, and it depends on what the method you're using, and then sometimes the teacher explain that in a different way. But I mean, just learn that in a general way first. Usually the sense of guilty refer to others, the sense of shame refer to ourselves. Okay, just say that in a general sense first. And then this is that's a giver have to be to give. They actually, if they can fulfill that, this is what it's the best way to do so. And what about the excellence due to the receiver? In other words, what kind of person that will receive you give, then the merit will be higher. It sounds a little bit interesting, but I don't know whether you find that it's good. But I need to just finish it. So the merit will be excellent in terms of the rhyme, suffering, benefactors, and quality. Okay. For example, is rank. It's because you give the highest rank person that you get better, you get more, your merits. But when the people are more in suffering, but you can help them, so you get more. You become more excellent in your marriage. So, and then also benefactor. If the benefactor is your master, your parents, or the Arahant, or the Buddha, so then you get more like that. So, and also the quality refer to, if he's a saint, he has a higher quality. So I would jump that now. I don't want to read one by one, but that's meant by the giving. So for example, for suffering one is donating to the guest staying in a forest country, donating to the traveler, donating to the sick person, donating to the attendant who take care of the sick, donating to the garden, to the temple, donating a garden, donating for the ceremony in the temple, donating to survivor experience severe weather conditions such as extreme cold, extreme hot, or hurricane, and so forth. Those are mentioned in the early Buddhist text, okay? In Abhidharma text, okay? So, and then, so of course, the best is always, like from the Buddhist point of view, one will produce incalculable fruits when one offers a gift to the noble person, the saint. So, and, but then there are also sometimes in Abhidharma course said that there are also 5 types of ordinary person that donate will generate immeasurable results when offering are made to them, like a father, mother, a sick person, a preacher, generally a religious person, and the bodhisattva who's in the last part of the Buddhahood. Okay. Now, even what is a proper way of donating, So when the giver gives with respect, he will obtain honors. When the giver gives by his own hand, he will obtain pleasure with great wealth. When the giver gives at the right time, he will obtain wealth when he needs it. Well, I need wealth now. I don't know whether I did I'm sure that I have donated a lot of things in the past. In my past, even my past life or even my this life. At the time, did I give the right time? If it's good right time, I don't know. I'm become a little greedy now, so I hope that I will obtain the wealth when the time is needed. Okay, the number 4, when the giver gives an object which is not damaged, I don't know. So we have to make sure give something that, or maybe never done damage. So that person will obtain wealth which will not be stolen by others and will not be destroyed by fire. So you could find the quotation here in Sanskrit in the below, okay? Okay. Now, let's go to another topic. The merit consisting in moral conduct. I need to jump a little bit, but otherwise our time is not enough. So in the Mahavipassa, basically mean if you do restraint itself, so then you could be, when you do the restraint, your morality will be good. So I guess maybe just the, there are few type, A type, B type, C type, D type, about how we have this good morality, okay? Serve as the aids to the marriage, okay? It's very interesting. Maybe just say a few words. If you observe morality sometimes because of fear of what? Fear of the result necessary loss to your life. Let's say if you do not behave well, and then you definitely will have no job, for example. A lot of people are like that. When they go for a job, not that they want to behave well, not automatically, but they know if they don't do that, you lost a job like that. So, still it's a good thing for them. It's a pious sila. They have this morality because out of fear, or because they out of fear because they will lost the name, reputation, or because chastisement, because of punishment. They will fear because of punishment, fear because they were born in a bad place. I mean, this is why we call it as people who have morality out of fear. Okay, and the people who have the morality out of mercenary also, you know. Yeah, like I just say, the same thing, maybe just something about morality is the other. If they do not behave well in a certain places, then they will not no job and they will lost the money. So like that, you know, it's the mean that's called asasti sila, you know. So maybe they want to have a good name and this and that. And then sometimes it's the good one is because they want to have, they want to be good, they want to have morality just out of because they want to, that will be appropriate to the factors of awakening. In other words, mean to become like awakened one, you know, either to become Arahant or the Buddha. And other is because they want to have morality, because then it's pure themselves. And then, I mean, for example, like when you do concentration meditation, certainly the aim is for the third one and the fourth one. You are not, but you are not out of the other. But I'm not saying that you do not involve with that, because you know that some people at first, when they don't really recognize what is mean the good morality, the correct morality, I guess just only out of fear, you know. Otherwise, they might be chased away by that community or whatever. So they were just trying to behave better. I mean, that's still a good thing. I need to jump this part. Oh, no. So, yeah, I mean, according to Abhidharma course, especially the Vasubandhu, it looks like he have a different way of emphasis. He tried to emphasize actually when we practice morality, beside what we were mentioned earlier. He also said there were four ways to get these qualities. This called Siddha, Chaturguna. So one is that you do not break your morality, or you could say the precepts, because you don't want to follow what the earlier one we mentioned. And the second, you don't because you do not allow it, kind of like the hatred or craving, those defilements or the sub-defilement, you could say. So that will damage your morality. And the other one is that because you practice way of antidote, you need to practice meditation. For example, like the four establishment of mindfulness and so forth. Please read the term so forth. He didn't just say the four establishment of mindfulness, but it say, so it's etc. So that it could help you to build up the morality, because that, so that you could will let you to fall into break your morality. And the other one is that it's that you are always practicing in aiming to nirvana. So, but not in aiming to the other else. For example, like wanted to be born in the heavens, like that. So those are according, you know, because treaties, the Abhidharma course are Vasubandhu. As I would say, since we're talking about the path, and then the path, the way of the path is to attain nirvana. So this is all the subject will refer to that. Okay. So that means if you die, of course, then you must be always just aiming to nirvana, but not otherwise. Okay. All right, now we come to the other, the age to the liberation. Right before we have the age to the marriage and the age to liberation. So what does the liberation mean? The age to the cultivation. I'm sorry, I think I used wrong. What does it mean by the cultivation? So the word, or you could say meditation, the word cultivation. But it's in this Abhidharma, it's defined cultivation it's mean perfuming the mind. It is not the way cultivation. We only simply think, oh, we do cultivation, mean we cultivate, or we just practice meditation. But here it defined as the perfuming the mind. So it say that the mind perfumes the state of samadhi based on the wholesome is the meaning. It continues to make that quality. It's meant by the cultivation. Okay. In cultivation, there are three kinds of cultivation here also. That's why we say this: either you practice generosity, either practice a virtue, either because you practice cultivation. They all serve at least the same thing too, that you could able to be born to Śrāva. Okay. So able to born Svarga. Basically mean you're able to be born to the heavens. Okay. So in other words, you either the generosity itself will reach, will help you to be born in the heavens. But having a morality also help you to be born in heavens. As well as actually in the commentary, even explain more as well as even if you get into good fruit. But when you practice the cultivation also you will help you to be born to the heavens and also have a good fruits. So, but however, in the early Abhidharma text, the practice, the cultivation, it usually only refers to the cultivate of the loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. This is the early version because the text Sangiti Pariyaya, it's actually all proof already by scholar, is the earliest Abhidharma in Sarvāstivāda school. But you could see that later on, even in early Abhidharma, we're saying that the cultivation refer to cultivate the four sublime abiding or four immeasurable minds. But then later on, it does change. But here I want to jump this a little bit also because it's said, and we have a lot of discussion on why to cultivate this, the four immeasurable minds is so important. Okay. But of course, one of the things that I mentioned, so because the four immeasurable are the antidote to the malice, vyabhada, or sometimes I translate as a conflict. Harm, vihimsa, like, you know, like Gandhi, the most famous word he says is ahimsa, mean do not harm, do not have violence, mean ahimsa. So I think the translation of harm is not correct. No, I mean, it's not, cannot represent the whole word. So here to refer to mean like a violence. So, you know, nowadays we have a lot of problems just to violence because of violence. When you're not happy, you just bound to have violence and you're not ready. You might have violence to yourself and then violence to others. And then the arati means displeasure. Rati will refer to happiness, joyful, pleasure. And the sexual desire, kama-raga, in due order. It's very interesting. You know, it's the Abhidharma Kosa, the accordingly saying that actually when you practice a four immeasurable mind, it becomes antidote to all this. That means you will not arise this conflict or malice or the violence and unpleasure, displeasure, sensation, and then even you have a karma raga, and then you have those attachment or the lust, especially I think the sexual, here to refer to the sexual desire as well as I mean, wow, here karma usually mean you have a strong, you know, sexual desire. Okay,